Well, thank you very much for having me. I am in Tokyo at the moment, talking to you from Waseda University in Tokyo. And I thought, considering it's EdTedTalks, we might as well try presenting a completely technology-based presentation, which is what this is all about. So my talk is about flipping with edutainment, and basically, the motivation behind it is how can we compete in enriched multimedia experiences and social media networks now available to students continuously throughout the day and allow them to still engage more effectively in class, both online and face-to-face. So the concept of edutainment is I'll basically just play a short video for you to just briefly introduce you to what I've done in this area.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is it that?
So we have Mr. Gene Binder, the author of Global Project Management, which is the textbook we are using for going to outline some of the conflict management steps that are present in Project Manager. Has a feeling that processing time is too long and wants some data to either confirm or dispel. So how do we create great products? Traditionally, product development was performed sequentially. A marketer would speak to customers in order to try to understand what they need out of a particular product. Enjoy the richness of a multicultural team. Remember that you can build on the differences.
I found new ways that it just simply did not work, which made me get closer and closer to the right answer.
Processing and a number of contracts to the customer. Of course, more often than not, this is not what the customer asked for.
Barry's Entrepreneur of the Year 2012.
2011. It's all news now.
Well,
it's a privilege. It's our privilege to have you with us, and thanks again for your time. So
we got 16 all the way to 65.
all right, so we're all here, Ken. Thanks again for joining us, despite the time difference. It's like midnight over there, right?
Sure, but that's not a problem. There's a code of conduct for PMP, and one of them says is you do what you can to help other people in their professional development. So that's all part of what we're doing tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so what you just witnessed is some of the activities that involve edutainment. So there are interviews with authors of textbooks that I use for some of the classes that I teach, animations, illustrations, and it's engaging the students through their five senses. I mean, we are so accustomed to use text-based assignments and feedback, and Samantha's presentation was great because it's going outside the box of this, traditional means of using text for everything. So audio feedback. There are we as students, human beings. We're human beings. We have five senses. Why not engage the five senses? So bringing some all these elements to engage students more effectively, whether it's online or face to face, and it complements a student engaged inquiry. It does not replace it. So the more engaged students are, and the more they communicate, and communication is really important. And just to give you context, I mean, I teach project management and project-based organizational behavior and leadership and things like that. And it's all about human interaction. And some of the activities that I'll show, I mean, some of them I've created, but some of them students have created, which I will show you throughout this presentation. And it's really about thinking outside the box and getting students to be more creative and using more creative means to educate and entertain at the same time. So I'll just quickly go through some of the things you saw in the video. One was obviously you saw me writing something. So that's using a tablet. I generally use a Bamboo, a Wacom tablet, which is quite accurate. They cost around $140, and you can just buy them from anywhere, pretty much, like Dick Smith Electronics or any electronic shop. And basically you plug that into your computer and you can create Khan Academy video style videos, which you're probably familiar with. But basically what you write on on the tablet appears on the screen, and you can record it and provide it to the students. So that's one, because what you can actually do while you're writing, you can also have a voiceover on top of that explaining how these things work. So that's one effective way to show students how to do, especially if there's a quantitative subject. If you're teaching a quantitative subject, then this is quite useful to do, and it doesn't cost very much. And you can use the free tools available on Blackboard. University has Echo 360. You can use that to record your screen. There's other software which are a little bit more complex, like Camtasia, which you can use to also edit your videos, which I tend to use. Skype interviews, a lot of the times I use textbooks of authors which are not local, they're overseas, and I do Skype interviews with them, either myself or I basically take my laptop to class and I Skype in. Generally there's a huge time difference. In this case I interviewed one of the authors which was in US, and he was willing to do a Skype interview at midnight, pretty much. So, I mean, these things are possible. It's just a matter of going out there, and it's valuable for students to engage with authors of the textbook that they're studying and be able to ask questions, and it makes it a lot more interesting than just reading the textbook by itself. And what I use to record Skype is called Call Recorder. It's, I think, $20 to $30, and you can basically install that, and you'll be able to record your Skype interviews. The other thing I do, I do cartooning. I am a cartoonist. So before I was anything else, so I draw a lot of cartoons and I animate them, either myself or I get an animator to animate them. In this case, I've drawn Edison. And you saw a part of that in the video, the initial video I showed you. This was basically hand drawn on paper and then scanned and painted in Photoshop, and then animated using Toon Boom Animate. It's a very time-consuming process. I don't recommend it for everyone, but if you're interested, then certainly that's another possibility. Weekly videos, because there are subjects I teach purely online. Now we're kind of moving into a more blended environment where we invite students online to actually come to class, and students in class to do their study online if they need to. But generally, the subjects I teach have a weekly video where I introduce what the topic of the week, what it's about, some examples, and that's really good, especially for online classes where students actually don't get an opportunity to meet the lecturer. It's a useful way to engage the students, and knowing that there is a person out there, and it's not just boring PowerPoint slides and readings to do, but there's actually a person who talks to them, and that happens every week. So there's a video announcement every week, which opens introduces the topic of the week. Some people are not comfortable to make videos. You can create a mascot of yourself and get that animated, so that's always possible. So there are tools that can help you animate yourself and just create a mascot, and all you need to do is just provide a voiceover, and that can be animated. But again, it's for people who are very uncomfortable looking into a camera. There are ways to make it easier to make videos. Now, we're generally not used to looking into a camera and talking. It's just we're not used to it. We are used to looking at people and talking to people. So one of the ways that I've overcome that is create a kind of a paper person which with holes in the eyes. And what it basically does, you can just put that in front of your monitor, as you can see, and look at this cartoon character and talking to this. It's more, I guess, a bit more comfortable. We're more used to doing that than looking into the camera. So that's one way to go about it, and it's easy to make. I mean, it just draw a person. Doesn't have to be. You don't have to be an artist to do it. The important thing is to create holes in the where the eyes are, and the best way is to put a A4 sheet of paper on your screen. Measure where the actual webcam is, and then you basically fold it in, and then just make holes, just cut where the eyes are, and then that's it pretty much. So that's one way to do videos, and it's really effective. There's a lot of positive feedback from students that videos are a lot better than text-based announcements. So that's where the hole for the webcam is, and that's where the webcam is in this instance. For making videos, here's a kind of a useful setup. A green screen. Now, if you notice, I'll just go back a few slides here. I've got basically a picture of the Opera House behind me. I'm not actually in front of the Opera House. It's a green screen, and then I've replaced it with a picture of the Opera House. Now, what a green screen is, you can get it from any camera shop or anywhere, even online. It's just a green screen, and a lot of this online video tools can actually replace that green screen with whatever background that you want. So that's kind of a useful way to put a background that you like at the back of your video. So this is the kind of the setup. You've got the green screen at the back. You've got a condenser microphone. Now, a condenser microphone costs around $100 to $200, but it's a higher quality microphone than the one in your own computer. It's a lot higher quality, so it's a USB. You plug it in, but it records with a higher quality sound. I showed you how so the webcam basically goes behind the little character. What's also really important is a good light source. A good light source makes a huge difference to the quality of the video. So if you can put now what I've purchased a kind of one of these big strobe lights, and I basically put it in front of me when I record videos, and that kind of does the job. Adobe Connect is a tool I use for my online students. Obviously, I don't see them in class, so what I create is an online room and with a link, and that link is sent to all the students. In this case, I have the author of one of the textbooks who joins in this environment, and students can engage with the author and ask questions either via chat or video. So they can see the author can see the students, and they can engage effectively there. And these are all online students, purely online course that was taught about 2 years ago. Now, currently Adobe Connect is free. It's available. University has it. You can get an account with Adobe Connect, and you can basically create rooms for your online subject. You can create as many rooms as you like, and all you need to do is basically send a link to the students, and they can join the room at a specific time and have a class, a virtual class in that environment. Whiteboard animation. Now, whiteboard animation is a little bit more complicated. In this case, I did the illustrations, and I got an animator to animate the whole thing, which I'm not generally an animator myself, so the illustrations were provided by me, and the animation was done by an animator. But there are actually free tools, not free actually. There's something called VideoScribe, and that creates whiteboard animations. All you need to do is provide the graphics, and it creates the whiteboard animation for you. And VideoScribe costs around $600, I believe. So you could have a look at that, and basically you don't need an animator. You just need to provide the graphics, and the whiteboard animation can be created. For one of the subjects I taught, I created a series of characters and animated them into a story. That's kind of generally effective for online classes, especially to create a scenario. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a project management subject, so they need to see how it's applied in a certain scenario. People need to be involved. There need to be interactions, and so one way to do it is using animated characters. And you don't have to be an artist. I mean, these sketches are very rough sketches and black and white, and it just, I think having some form of graphics makes a difference, making things visual and not just text, makes a huge difference for students. So it doesn't have to be highly artistic, it doesn't have to be brilliant, but as long as there's some visual, something visual, it really helps. So this was basically drawn on paper scan using iPhone. So it can be done. You don't need a scanner, or even if you have a smartphone, you can use a smartphone to scan your drawings and put them on your slides or make animations. Using student-generated content. Now, what I've shown you so far is what I've created, but I also encourage students to create things and be creative, and that's part of their learning. It's not just about writing assignments, but actually being able to create new things. And in this case, I've used one of my students' drawings on one of my slides. So as you can see, it's just stick figures, but it looks a lot better than just text. So we can definitely get students to generate new things. And what I'm going to show you next is an assignment, student group assignment, which was for one of the subjects, project-based organizational behavior, last year, and students basically had to create short films in groups based on their assignments, individual assignments. So let's have a look at what they've done. By the way, can everyone hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Today was the day he would have his last chance to run for president of the Student Representative Council. Greg anticipated meeting many colourful characters: the engineering student, the first-year student, the elite athlete, the international student, and the Eastern Avenue dweller.
418 112.
Perhaps you should review your policies. For example, this university is a bit...
Those are the things you want. Why not? Well, if you...
Yeah, look, mate, I know how these things work. If you want my vote, yeah. Hi.
Do you mind if I talk to you a little bit about my policies?
Yeah, sorry, man.
Of course, you guys know this is Project Management Anonymous, and you guys are all here because you've had failed experiences.
Rebecca?
Yeah. How do you know that name?
Meanwhile, Juliet was greeting investors before the meeting began. She was popular, however this did not make her job any easier.
Everything seems to be going well. The investors were proud of what Julia was planning to do.
As a result, Romeo became persona non grata, and with his visa revoked, he had to leave.
And we're back. Welcome to this live coverage of the final. The East versus the West. One player left. Superstar from the East is in disarray. He doesn't know what to do. It's ambitious. It's ambitious. And it's in. What a basket. What? And they're just blowing his whistle. Do you believe in miracles?
So these were just short films that were created by students, and they just did really creative stuff, and it was just amazing. Games. Games are also a good way to engage students. Now, in this case, I've used Legos in the subject project-based organizational behavior, and here students had to get in groups and create a robot which can hold a glass of water, and the one that can hold the glass of water for a longer period of time, and the highest one is the winner. So it was very engaging for students, and it's all about interaction, and it's about communication. And I like what Samantha said. It's, you know, the real world is about communication. It's about engaging with other people, and the more you can find ways to do that, the more successful your courses. And we need to change and try to change students' mindset from a assessment-focused mentality to making value, being creative, being innovative, and doing good stuff. So it basically all of this is about that. And here we introduce project management to high school students by building a paper robot. So students had to get into groups and build robots based on teamwork. They have a budget. They have to purchase materials and work in teams to be able to get that done. So it's all about teamwork. It's about communication, and you can build assessments based around more creative things rather than just written assignments. So here's the result out of that. Software tools. There are other things I didn't really talk about. GoAnimate is another software platform. So if you go to goanimate.com, I think it is, you can animate characters. We don't even have to draw it. They're already there. All you need to do is provide some text, a dialogue between the characters, and you can create a scenario where the characters interact. And all you need is to basically build a story around it. Adobe Connect I showed you briefly. Blackboard Collaborate is another new tool that I'm using and a lot of our academics are using, which is very similar to Adobe Connect, but it's integrated into Blackboard. And it does very similar things, but it's a lot more powerful. Now, I was trying to get a screenshot of that, but I was having some technical difficulties. But if you look at, there are some online tutorials on the University of Sydney website on Collaborate and how to use it. I strongly recommend that tool for engaging students online. Echo 360 is another tool which is used for recording. You can record your screen, you can record yourself on webcam. Skype, well, we're using Skype right now, so that doesn't need any further explanation. Jing is another free online tool to record the screen. Camtasia is a video editing tool that I use to edit my videos, and I showed you about the Wacom tablets. I mean, so there are a lot of tools, and you don't have to use all of them, but you need to have a look at what you're teaching and what suits your context. But I think one important lesson is to go beyond just what our traditional way of thinking about assignments and assessments. And Samantha clearly said, you know, it even like having audio feedback works a lot more effectively than text-based feedback. So all of that. Some of the feedback from students for the online courses in particular, they find it more effective, more engaging, and especially the engagement with authors and experts online has been quite valuable to the students. So that's pretty much my presentation. Thank you. So I'll just hand it back to Amani.
Great, thanks so much. So we can have, I don't know why I'm you as well.
I'm actually not able to see anyone.
No, you can't see us. But people can Sam, and if you want to, student of SR into this mic with an echo. But then he might answer. But he needs questions. Maybe if you could turn down at your of yours computer.
I'm sorry?
Do you just turn your volume down or our volume down? But he needs to be able to answer questions. Okay, can you mute your microphone? Great, cool, thank you. Okay, questions. Yeah, is it for Sam or Ehsan? For us. Well, you need to come and say in this microphone.
Hi, I've got a question about group work, and do you have any software that you use for peer evaluation in your group work with students?
Absolutely. We use a software platform called CatMe, so catme.org, catme.org, and what CatMe does is it's a peer evaluation platform, and all you need to do is basically upload the students' contacts, and CatMe basically provides a link for the students to evaluate their peer. Now, we're just doing a trial for that, so this is the first semester we're using that. Blackboard also has a peer evaluation tool, but it doesn't seem to be very successful. What CATME does is basically also teach about concepts of teamwork, effective teamwork, and it's not just about evaluation, but it's about highlighting what teamwork is about and what it means to work as a team. So you could have a look at CATME. It's not part of the university, what the university supports, so you can't get much help from ICT, for instance, but you might like to have a look at that tool. We're trialing it out at the moment and seeing if it's useful for us. So yeah, so far it's been good because and we've got about, like, for one of the classes, about 96% of the students completed the survey, the peer evaluation, and it generally takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. So that might be something you might like to look into.
Thanks, Susan. And you might also want to look into Spark if you wish. Other questions for Sam? Great.
Absolutely. I think that Cultura and VoiceBoard are very similar, so it depends on what your goal is. I mean, it'd be even better if you can provide video feedback. I think that'd be the next step beyond what we were doing here. Because I was providing feedback daily, it was a little bit difficult sometimes, and the audio-only feedback you can do on the run, basically, you know. But if it was a larger project, I think the video feedback would be even better.
Okay. If I'm going to say it, then say it. Oh, it is. Okay.
Basic questions from my perspective. You're right about it.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't saying we should eradicate exams. I was saying that we need to get a better balance between the two. I always feel that with the feedback, for example, I call it the Goldilocks syndrome. So when we're addressing a class, we give general feedback, and for the middle section of the class, it's perfect. But for one end of the group, it's way too simple, and they're not engaged, and they're thinking, why am I here? And for the lower end of the scale, the students that we need to motivate the most, it's way beyond them, and they're thinking, why am I here? For the opposite reason. So I really feel that that's the only way that we connect with them and give them support at their own level, as opposed to as a group.
Thank you.
Scary.
Well, it's scary, but the other side, I just want to point out, of course, they may still be socially interactive because they have devices in front of them.
Yes, of course.
Sometimes they don't like them.
Right.
From a closed off.
Absolutely. Oh, of course, that's right. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that.
So just aware that it is 1 o'clock and some people might have to go. If so, great. Thank you so much for coming. Before you do, I'll just put in a quick plug. Simon McIntyre from the Uni of New South Wales, who you saw on Sam's videos, is running Learning to Teach Online. It's a MOOC. Last year they got 25,000 people doing it. It's for all levels of education, so from K to higher ed. The Uni of Sydney is going to run a face-to-face study group for people who want to do that 6-week MOOC. For some people who are already experienced at learning to teach online, you might want to do it to get a sneak peek at a good Coursera MOOC that has actually been endorsed by Barack Obama somehow as a recommended MOOC for educators. So yeah, if you, I've sent round that info to the EdTech list, but people are welcome to come to those face-to-face groups. So please join me in thanking the two presenters today. And if anyone does want to stick around and keep chatting, I don't know if you can stay a bit, Sam. Ehsan, can you stay, or do you need to get going to fun Tokyo times? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I can stay, no problem.
All right. If anyone wants to chat, please do. Yeah, here's someone to come and chat with you, Ehsan.
Sure.
To the microphone.
Ehsan, it's Lewis de Border. I feel cheated because you're not here physically.
Sorry, Lewis.
which has relevance to what you talk about. I guess not everybody is going to be as creative as frankly you are. What are your thoughts about stealing multimedia from other places and, using, as we have seen, YouTube clips, etc.? I love the creativity of the students, but do you have resources that you go looking for from that point of view?
Yes, actually, Lewis. One good resource is Creative Commons. Now, Creative Commons, you can basically go, I think, cc.search.com, I believe that's what it is, just to double check. There's a Creative Commons search, and you can search for images which you can easily take and put it into your slides, into your videos, use it in your presentations without worrying about copyright. So Creative Commons search gives you, so I think what it is, it's search.creativecommons.org, and you can, hang on, sorry, this just to double check. You can search Google Images, for instance, using Creative Commons, and any other, basically, website which provides some kind of resources that you might be able to use in your, so Creative Commons search will provide you with all the, you won't have to create anything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just take things from there, and they're not copyrighted, and they can be used for free. So that's one tool that I highly recommend in that regard. Yeah.
Son, I'm Pamela from Sydney eLearning, and I help a lot of academics get content on their Blackboard mainly, and it's really encouraging to see someone that's doing something so creative. I'm really interested in how your students created the videos that they provided you with their final assessment, and how they went about searching for the tools. Did you give them clues on where to go? Thanks. I'd really like your answer to that.
Thank you. Actually, no, I didn't give them any kind of hint on how to make videos or anything. I just told them, this is what you need to do. Your project managers, there are 4 to 6 of you in one group. Go and find out what resources are available, how to create videos, what you need to create, and all sorts of things. So I didn't actually give them any guidelines, and it was the first time this was the first time we had an assignment like that, because it was the first time I was teaching that course. So the idea was, I had no idea what they're going to produce. I had absolutely no idea what the result would be, but it turned out pretty amazing. I mean, it went beyond what my expectations were. They were so creative. I mean, some of them cut out characters and animated that, and it's just like I had not even thought about those possibilities. And they just, I guess they see, students are a lot more creative than we think. They just need a platform for that creativity to be unleashed, and providing means to do that, and providing assessment tools and assessments that allow students to be more innovative and creative will amaze you at what they can possibly do. And it's just believing that they can do amazing stuff, and that they're not kids anymore. They're university students, they're University of Sydney students, and we need to expect great stuff from them, and they can do great stuff. and they just need ways to do it. I mean, they just need platforms and platforms that allow them. So it's just, we are here to allow them to create that creativity. So yeah, the answer is, I didn't give them any guidelines on how to create videos. So and they've done well. Yeah.
Great. I look forward to seeing more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's it for the questions, Ehsan. Thank you so much for making the effort to...
My pleasure. I hope it was fine. Was that okay?
Yeah, everyone was enjoying it. It was just, I'm sorry that you couldn't see us. That was hard.
That's okay. That's fine. As long as you enjoyed it, that's what's
We did.
important.
Rest of your time.
Thank you very much.
When you get
Thanks,
back.
Amani.
Bye.
Okay.